Welcome to the Eclectic Gamers Podcast. Today is Sunday, March 16th. This is episode 241. I'm Tony.
I'm Dennis, and we're remote, so we're probably going to talk over each other, and people are going to be like, why is Dennis interrupting Tony so much?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens.
That's what happens when we're remote.
But I finally tested positive for COVID, so I told Tony to stay away. Don't come here.
Stay away. Don't get sick before TPF.
That's right. Hopefully I'll be better before
we get sick
to TPF.
after TPF.
Yeah, so that was Friday, was when I first felt bad, and the test showed it right away. So I let Tony know, hey, we're going to need a plan to record remotely Sunday. But I was still able to talk and everything. So my voice is probably a little bad because I'm a little phlegmy, but otherwise I should be okay. So I think we're going to be able to get through this. But before we get into the meat of the matter, and we do have a number of listener emails that have come in. Tony, what's been going on?
Okay. Now I need to explain this.
No.
I do. I have to. I'm sorry. I have an excuse. You see, the big crazy fun mod for BattleTech has an all-new patch for 2025.
No.
Okay. They made major changes and huge gameplay shifts and completely rebalanced several things. So I've been playing BattleTech again.
No! But Brotato.
I have not stopped playing Brotato. I am actually still playing Brotato as well. But typically, so what I'll do is, because with the mod pack installed and everything going on, I can only play like one battle on BattleTech after work at night, and then it's to the point where a second battle will have me staying up late by the time I'm done with everything else and can actually start playing. So I'll play one battle, and then I will play some Brotato while I'm watching like body cam videos from the police and getting ready for bed.
So life has found balance.
Life has found balance. Just Brotato has not been forgotten or sunk like so many other games where you get to a point where you're just like, man, I don't care no more. But I'm still playing the Brotato. I have my clearance up to 64%. I have cleared 2 more characters on the DLC since we last recorded.
Progress has been made. Excellent.
Progress
I
has
haven't
been
played
made.
much. I set a new personal high score on my Jaws pinball game, but that's about it. Yeah, finally
Nice.
caught me a Mako. Got some sharks going on. No.
Did you break $1 billion?
But now I feel like I didn't do enough. And let's see. We have a couple of listener emails I wanted to do before we would go into our segments. So first, Glenn, he wrote in, and he wrote as follows. Dennis and Tony, this was going to be a scathing, screaming rant of an email, but I won't be screaming because you did mention the Will Smith classic Wild Wild West. But there are 3 more that you left out, especially in that JJP is surely to make a pinball for American Tail, Fievel Goes West, A Million Ways to Die in the West, Back to the Future 3, Glenn.
That would be hilarious if the new Back to the Future game was just Back to the Future.
Some people really love that one, though. I would say it's better than 2.
No, it is. It's my second favorite, and I consider 1 and 3 neck and neck.
Yes.
They're both great. So if they wanted it to be the bad one, like the whole Toy Story 4 thing, so it'd have to be just Back to the Future 2.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed Back to the Future.
I've not seen A Million Ways to Die in the West. I vaguely remember Fievel Goes West. Vaguely. And then the second email for the intro is from Fulgore, who wrote in, Hawk. He said hello, but there's a reason for this. Hawk, Dennis and Tony, a long-time listener to be bred in Shakespeare accent if available. Based on Tony's recent activity, I picked up Brotato for the Switch. Do you, Tony? Keep up the great show, Fulgore.
I'm telling you, man, if you've not played Brotato yet, I'm just going to say it right now. You should play it. 100%. But it is an addictive, fun little game. I mean, it is just addictively fun. It has a great gameplay loop.
Well, that's good to know. So I'm sure another person will probably write in 2 weeks saying that they've started it. But we have other things. We have other fish to fry, and that fish is pinball. So as Tony noted in the intro, we're getting closer to Texas Pinball Festival, less than a week away for that. And in the run up to the show, there has been another piece of information dropped. And that piece of information has come from Multimorphic, which we're used to seeing new games from Multimorphic at TPF because it's kind of the show in their backyard. Well, they released a poster that has one of the Sentry droids from Portal on it. So and there's been a rumor swirling around that Multimorphic does have the Portal license. So anyway, Tony, what I don't want to, we haven't seen it, so there's not a lot yet to say on it other than the theme itself. So what do you think about the theme of Portal and Multimorphic doing it?
I think the theme of Portal is a great theme for a pinball machine. I think with what the P3 allows them to do, they can probably they should be able to do a pretty good job with it and make it interesting. I think the big thing will be to see if they get the properly snarky and hilarious voice stuff right. That's going to be the big thing.
I think it's a pretty good theme for pinball in general. I think it's a theme, though, that could really lean into some of those more virtual aspects that Multimorphic has with their P3 platform. So it makes sense for them. I'm just thinking of like the scoop wall and stuff and the ability with how the balls fire out to make you feel like a ball's gone through a portal. Just seems to have a lot going on with it there. I'm curious if they'll put anything down towards the lower end, though, because all of those portal shots, hypothetically, are going to be in the middle to back. So I really want to see where I need to see the layout. But I think there's a lot of opportunity there. Yeah, I agree with you about the tone. Portal is a video game that very much makes fun of the player. We don't see a lot of that in pinball, but we've seen a little bit. Steve Ritchie's kind of known for that with like the Black Knight games and stuff, where the game's actually making fun of the player playing poorly. So if they've embraced that, and I would assume they would, Multimorphic has seemed to do a pretty good job with their licensed themes. So that would be Weird Al and The Princess Bride, about embracing the asset structure. So I don't think they're going to miss on the tone. I think that they know that that's what they've got to do to land it. So anyway, I look forward to trying it. I'm assuming it will be at TPF, but I think it's a very good get for them. Okay, in the pantheon of themes, I suppose Weird Al and Princess Bride are better themes overall. But you'll see this come up in an email. Actually, I'm going to jump into the email because Zach, who I do the pinball show with, he doesn't know Portal.
What is wrong with him?
There's probably a lot of things, but this one was sort of surprising. So I'd like to go ahead and start with an email from Paul P., who wrote in, and he wrote the following. Zach said he didn't want people emailing him about Portal in the latest episode, but I figured you guys would get the appeal. It recently hit me that Portal would fit in the category of pins that comedically insult you while you play. I'm sure they got Ellen McLean. She's a sweetheart in person and loves the character. And they did get J.K. Simmons back for that free Aperture Desk Job game. Plus, J.K. Simmons has said on several occasions that he loves voice acting and takes it seriously. He's really enjoying Omni-Man in The Invincible lately. I've recently been replaying Portal 2 for probably the sixth or so time, and it is really something special. Coming from a 29-year-old, not a 40 to 60-year-old, it will be interesting to see the intersect between the OC gaming community and pinball, since it really hasn't happened since Mario and Pac-Man. Portal was such a cultural touchstone at the time. I mean, it was a time when nerd culture was more pushed references like the cake is a lie being strewn everywhere, but I'd like to think the series has more staying power than the memes. Plus, I'm one of those weirdos that bought a P3 for Weird Al. In a recent interview with Loser Kid, Jerry said Weird Al sold the most systems for them and Princess Bride had the most modules manufactured. Anyways, good luck with Brotato, Tony. That thing is surprisingly addicting. Thanks for a great show as always. I promise I'll email here about EGP specifically next time. Paul. Well, thank you, Paul. And thank you for bringing up Brotato yet again, because I just talked about how in 2 weeks we'd hear about Brotato, and in reality it was 2 minutes later.
Right? Okay. Now, first, so everybody, it'll be too late by the time people get out there. So, by the time people actually hear this, because it's already done. But to give Dennis a warning, in a chat that me and Dennis have with Zach that has not been used since 2023, I'm telling Zach to play Portal.
Okay.
So I just told Zach to play
I hear
Portal.
you typing in the background. You're going to have to scroll way down for that chat.
I did. I'm like, I know there is a chat with me, Dennis, and Zach somewhere in here. I know it. I finally just searched and found it.
Okay. Yeah, no, he had no familiarity with Portal. Didn't know what it was about. And because of that, was very dismissive of the theme. He acknowledged that he thought it would be a good theme for Multimorphic once I kind of described it to him. But yeah, he's not heard of it, so he doesn't think it's inherently a good theme. And I was like, but you're very wrong.
Oh, this is wrong.
This was a huge, I mean, the biggest problem with Portal is just that it's been so long since there was a Portal game, because Valve won't make a third game of anything. But
3's the magic number. I think
number
it's one of those.
doom.
There's this secret thing that if Valve ever makes a third of one of their hit games, the universe ends. That's the decision
strange.
I've come to at this point.
It's strange. I'd say, why do they hate money? But they make so much off of Steam, I can't really say that.
Right.
But anyway, so again, thank you, Paul. I agree with a lot of your points about this. And that his email gives me hope about that they actually have a good voice cast. As long as they get Ellen to be GLaDOS, I think things will be fine.
Yeah.
But I kind of want Wesley. Wasn't that the bot in the second one? Wesley? I kind of want him.
Yeah, he was one of them.
And of course, J.K. Simmons played Cave Johnson in the second one. I kind of want him too.
J.K. Simmons is just great. He's just great in like every role.
Yeah, that's just his way. But anyway, so appreciate that. Another pinball-oriented email. This one is from David P. He wrote into us. Dennis and Tony, enjoyed the latest episode as always, and really enjoyed the discussion of Western movies in the previous podcast. Even though it's a TV episode and not a movie, you forgot the greatest Western of all time, Star Trek The Original Series, Season 3, Episode 6, Spectre of the Gun. Nothing beats the crew of the Enterprise wearing Star Trek uniforms with six-shooters on their hips. I did actually enjoy the discussion of Westerns and would love to hear you guys discuss your favorite movies in other genres such as sci-fi, fantasy, action, etc. Maybe even favorites from movie franchises with lots of movies such as James Bond, Star Trek, etc. I know some listeners may not want to hear movie rankings, so you could either do this at the end of the episodes or as separate Patreon episodes. Just a thought. Regarding the term tables, when referring to pinball machines, I don't use the term and I do cringe a bit when I hear it. As you mentioned, the term was used in the past and is even in the 1969 song Pinball Wizard. Also something that makes pinball enthusiasts cringe a bit. I think it's cringy now, but most pinball collectors and enthusiasts don't use the term anymore, and when someone does, it sounds like they're trying to drop some pinball lingo but don't really know the hobby that well. I guess that's unfair to pinball people who still use the term, but in my experience, most don't. It's a dumb controversy, of course, but who doesn't love weighing in on dumb things that don't matter? Regarding virtual pinball, it can be fun in a physical cabinet. There's no replacement for real pinball, and if space is limited, I'd always recommend real pinball over a virtual cabinet. I have several real pinball machines and plenty of space in my game room, and bought an At Games Legends Pinball 4K virtual pinball machine. It has the surround sound feedback kit installed, which makes it more realistic because the sound comes from the location of the ball. I didn't know about that. That's why I kind of exclaimed that. And has an accelerometer for nudging and solenoids for realistic flipper sounds. It's plug and play and doesn't require fiddling with visual pinball, etc. Many of the Zen Pinball FX tables are available on it, including Williams tables and Zen originals. There's a little lag, but it's not terrible, and I do enjoy it. Using tables for virtual pinball seems more natural since it's the term all the vendors use. Or I'm a hypocrite, probably the latter. Well, that's it. Keep up the good work. Feel free to use any or all of this for the podcast. David. P.S. Can't wait to check out the latest Garmin smartwatch in the plastic. Thank you very much, David, and for hitting all those things. So, Tony and I, if we do more movie stuff, we'll probably just throw it up on the Patreon to keep it clean for
I
folks,
think so.
But
I think that feels like a really good way to balance it out.
Mm-hmm. But thank you also for the comments regarding pinball and the use of the term tables. And we have one last email I wanted to go ahead and cover today, Tony, and pinball related. And that one is from Richard A., who wrote in, "Hello. Last time I emailed you, I gave you a rumor corner, but I feel like they missed the mark and were more predictions. My goal is/was to have completely made up rumors, but play off of real rumors. So here are 2 new rumors. Activate rumor corner."
Got the news before Nap Arcade. Is that right, Tony? Yeah.
Rumor number 1. I heard on another podcast that Stern is not doing King Kong, but the license is for Curious George.
There we go.
Looking at you, Dennis. I as an aside, I may have said something about Curious George. I may have. Back to the email. I think Dennis is wrong. It is King Kong, but a remake of the Daddy East game from 1990. Same layout, but with video assets. Rumor number 2. My wife heard from an unreliable source, me, that Stern's trademark for Myth of Terror Island is for a Gilligan's Island game. I hope you were infotained, because the facts don't matter and the rumors are completely made up. Riff on a line from Whose Line Is It Anyways? By the way, now that it's confirmed that Multimorphic is doing Portal, I could see that. Shot a ball into one scoop or portal and instantly have a ball come out of another one someplace else. Use shots to light the color of the portal, blue or orange. I could see that on a full-size cabinet. Not sure about one with limited area at the top of the game. Richard. Well, thank you, Richard, and thank you for supplying Rumor Corner rumors. It's rumor-tained, though, not info-tained, but very close otherwise. And I did enjoy the reference to Whose Line Is It Anyway, one of my favorite ad-lib shows.
You know what'd be fun?
What would be fun, Tony?
If in addition to Multimorphic releasing Portal, they released an all-new system with it. Just go whole hog. You know, the P460 Pro S2.
I just the problem where I struggle with that. I mean, in a way I agree it would be cool, but the whole idea is you're baked into the ecosystem. I don't know how they ever can do a substantive upgrade. I mean, as long as there weren't very many buyers, but after Weird Al where they sold a bunch, I just don't see it.
Can you imagine the rage? Can you imagine the absolute rage? Oh, we're releasing everything for this new ecosystem. So the modules don't even fit into the old machine. Sorry.
Surely it'd be backwards compatible. I cannot imagine it being like the old console days where you can't now. Like,
right?
Backwards compatibility's got to be baked in. Absolutely got to. But I think it would be a very hard sell to do an upgrade like that anyway. I just that's something I've chatted with Zach in the past. We haven't talked about it really for a couple of years, I don't think, but I've talked to him before about that because he's brought up things like 4K and all of that. And I've really questioned the value that it's really going to add much to the gameplay experience, but the whole idea of getting people, you're bifurcating your ecosystem,
right?
Unless you give everyone the upgrade, and that's such a waste of money. I just don't see how they could ever upgrade it. That's maybe the best way I could put it. But unless the upgrades were optional, like the games load faster or it boots faster, but you can still use the old system to play all the stuff. I don't know. I don't know if that will. Pinball doesn't inherently, as long as you're doing whatever it's like concept wise. They don't really need to push things more, is my thought. Like, they can already, they basically had the entire movie of Princess Bride able to play in the game. Like, what more do you honestly need? It's just a few switches and stuff. Otherwise, it's like how I had a Pi-based system running my Sinbad at one point, or my Buck Rogers. It's like, you don't need a lot of computing power to really do pinball. Some of this other stuff, like we're hearing about Stern upgrading to Spike 3 and stuff, I think is really driven by some of the communication things between the node boards, trying to improve that. Maybe they want to be able to have some more RAM in their system, but they're selling individual machines, so it doesn't really matter. When they want to upgrade, it's not going to impact anyone's old game. So It's just a different situation with multimorphic. That's all I really had, Tony, but I think you wanted us to talk a little bit more about Potato Face Alice.
Right? Yeah, I just was I'd followed up on it. It had been mentioned in the Discord, and I followed up on the Kickstarter, and it's over $500,000 for an $800 Potato Face game. So,
what was their goal?
Their goal was $100,000. So they've blown past it. They blew past their $100,000 goal in 2 minutes.
Wow.
So
I'm not surprised it met its goal. I am surprised it did so quickly.
Right. I'm like you. I thought, oh yeah, I'm sure this'll hit its goal. But before I knew what the goal was.
Yeah,
as long as it wasn't something
was
stupid. As long as it was, like $11 million or something crazy like that. But I don't think I expected it to go quite as quickly as it did. But I mean, it let's see, 200 backers at the $800 price, 25 backers at $1,900, 12 backers at $1,600, 273 backers at $850. So
okay. There
is
definitely is a market at this price point for a game.
Right. I don't know what this thing is going to be like.
It's going to be what's Tater's precious.
Right. But I am very much surprised at how rapidly it made its goals.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. Well, thank you for updating us on that.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. It looks not exciting.
Well, your standards are high. You've been exposed to the campus queen.
I have. To be fair, its topper is better than some of the toppers I've seen in other games, and it costs less.
Mm. So, video games, Tony.
What's video
going on in
games? So much. Like, stuff started coming. I was listening to several of my normal news things that I go through and reading them, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a bit of a crazy one. So, first I want to say that it has been confirmed that we talked about last episode, I believe, that Scopely is buying Pokemon Go for $3.5 billion. So that is a confirmed deal that's happening. And then, coming up at the end of April, Xbox has their next round of games coming out on PlayStation, which includes Forza Horizon 5.
Mm.
And the pushback from players is already happening.
Oh, yes.
Because
but this is consistent with everything they've said they're doing.
It is consistent with everything they've already said they're doing, but it is a digital-only release. And to play it, it will require you to link your Microsoft account to your PSN account.
It's just, they know.
So, and we know from the Helldivers 2 outcry just how much people like linking their accounts to other accounts, because nobody wants to have a PSN account and link it to their game on Steam to play Helldivers 2.
No, this will go great. Trust them. Trust them.
This will be great. So now I need to get and connect my Microsoft Live account to my PSN account so that I can play my game on my PlayStation. So yeah, I'm sure this will go well. This is going to go real well for him. I'm real happy. This is a great choice. The big reveal for Switch 2 is coming out on the 2nd of April. So like 3 days after our post TPF episode.
Oh.
So we will have, so we're 2 episodes away from having Switch 2, information, like what I'm assuming will be the final information. The rumors are coming hot and heavy. Some things have been confirmed because they had to do their FCC filings. So we know that it has NFC and will support Amiibos. We know it has Wi-Fi 6 network support. And we know that it can be charged from either USB-C port, the one on the top or the bottom. So we know that. But the rumors are saying a June release, and the price tag is varying between $400 and $500.
How much was the Switch when it came out?
$300.
Okay.
So the Switch was $299 when it came out. Everything I'm seeing on this is between $399 and $499. So, and it just depends upon which rumor place you happen to be at, where the pricing is. So,
okay.
I'm assuming this will all be solidified on the 2nd. So, but talking about new consoles, Xbox, Microsoft seems to be locking in on a 2027 release date for their next generation of Xbox console. They've also, information has come out that they are working with a third-party PC OEM handheld producer to put out a Xbox branded handheld device by the end of this year. But they're also supposedly doing and internally developing a completely separate handheld device to release alongside the next generation console in 27.
That seems kind of strange to do too.
I think I kind of feel the same way, but I'm wondering if it's not, that's why they're working with a third party handheld producer. So it could be like, Steam or Nvidia or there's a couple other companies that make handheld PCs to use for gaming devices. That's why it's just going to be an Xbox branded, created by a third party device, is just to start getting feelers out there and to have something drop in combat time with the Switch 2.
Oh, okay.
And then while they develop an internally designed thing for release with the next generation consoles, is my guess. Lost my space in my notes. There we are. March 11th was the 30th anniversary of the release of Chrono Trigger, which if you've not played,
really good game.
Oh, it's such a good game. The art is amazing. Done by Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball fame. The gameplay and the whole story and everything are just great. What's interesting is that Square Enix has announced that they are launching various projects, quote unquote, related to the game throughout the year. They didn't say what these projects are. We know nothing about any of it. We don't know if it is a re-release of the game for current generation consoles, which would be great, because currently the only place you can get it is on Steam. So I think a console release would be great. I think it would be a wonderful game to be playable on the Switch. But for all we know, they could be paired up with a bubble tea company and just are releasing plastic cups.
Hopefully it's more than that.
Well, hopefully. You would think for such a big game that it is so well loved that they would, but we'll see. They said they're going to make the announcements throughout the year. Also, big news release here was that a leak out of Sony has shown video footage of them developing AI-driven characters, which they're using Alloy from Horizon Zero Dawn as one of the test beds. And the leaked footage shows one of their engineering developers interacting with the AI generated Alloy. So they're like talking and asking her questions. She's responding and stuff.
Okay.
Which, to be using the main character from a game whose entire premise is that the world has been destroyed and overrun by insane evil AIs is, a little ironic. But the voice actress for Alloy, Ashley Burke, was interviewed, and she said that she had been told after the leak, the Gorilla, who is Horizon's developer, had gotten in contact with her to let her know that the demo didn't reflect anything that was actively in development, and that Sony didn't use any of her performance data to create the AI. So none of her facial tracking, none of her voice data or anything for it. But she did go on to say that she's worried about the future of game performance as an art form, and talked about the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strikes, where the big push is for the AI protections. They have SAG-AFTRA has kind of signed a not a deal, but they have a temporary work thing that is allowing people to work under very certain restrictions that have been signed on by a few companies. That's allowing some voice actors to go back to work. But the overall larger deal is still in the works. And the latest offer to the union, they were worried about, and they've pushed back their version of it because it had large loopholes in their mind that would allow for AI abuse. They claim that the video game producers want to use all past performances and any from outside the contract without protections. So actors would be told nothing about their voice being used as AI, offered nothing in payment, and left without a method to dispute it. And it's claimed that the producers want to use an AI replica to continue an actor's work during future strikes. And if consent is given to AI, producers can refuse to tell performers how it's being used. So...
yeah, they sure don't want to let this one go. They really want this AI.
Yeah, they do, and they want to do it in such a way that the actors have no choice in the matter. They are completely out of the loop. They could fire up a game to play and suddenly find themselves talking in the game and not know anything about it, and not get any money for it or anything. So that's definitely the route that the companies are going. That's what they want. They want it because it's cheap and it'll save them a lot of money and all of that. So it is a very concerning situation in regards to this and other future uses of AI. So we'll see how it all works out.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Ubisoft they've been having some monetary troubles for a while.
Yes.
They've been having a variety of issues. Seems like apparently part of the issues is that the founding family of Ubisoft, the Guillemot family, do not want to give up their control rights. So they don't want to have outside people come in to a point where they would lose their controlling rights. So they are considering the launch of an entirely new business unit that will be partially owned by outside companies. And the entire purpose of this unit is to manage their more successful games. So Assassin's Creed, Rainbow Six, Far Cry. Okay. So if this happened, they would create this wholly new business that would be worth more than Ubisoft, just because all of Ubisoft's big titles would be in it. But that way, the founding family could retain complete control of Ubisoft, but they could bring in outside support to help with those larger games and help deal with the monetary issues of running said larger games. And of course, as no surprise to anybody, the number one people being talked about for coming in big is Tencent out of China.
Okay, I was going to guess the Saudis.
No, I'm sure they're number two, but Tencent is the big ones in the talks that are being bandied about right now to come in.
Okay, that does make sense.
So yeah, because Tencent already has the largest unit of tie-in to Ubisoft outside of the founding family. So EA has continued their love of microtransactions. They've been working on the Skate game, a skateboarding game, follow up to one that was popular from years and years and years ago. The game is currently in alpha, It's not in early access or anything, but they have already launched microtransactions for the game testers who are game testing the alpha version.
Okay.
So they can buy, so game testers can buy alpha, cosmetics and stuff that will get refunded eventually, and they will still have their in-game bucks to use once the game goes live. I mean, hey guys, you're our quality control testers, but did you know you can spend your money to buy in-game stuff on the games you're quality control testing for us? So please use your EA bucks to play ES back to pay us for letting you have a job. Oh, yeah. Next thing you know, they're going to open some apartments for everybody to live in. And I'm and to finish things up, a big convention announcement. BlizzCon is not happening in 2025. Again, but they have announced they will be back in 2026, which is interesting because 2025 would be their 20th anniversary.
Yeah, but they probably don't have a new game to talk about.
That's my guess, is that they're expecting major new releases, so 26 would be better. And it kind of makes sense because there's not enough Blizzard related stuff to cover yearly cons, to do one every couple of years as you have major announcements coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm expecting Overwatch 3. It's exactly like Overwatch 1. We're sorry. But with the new characters.
Yeah. I'm wondering maybe like StarCraft 3.
It could be StarCraft 3. That would be enjoyable. It's probably just going to be like WoW expansions and a new classic server. I don't know. They might have classiced everything they can classic at this point, but
they've classiced a lot. They've even done some classicing in Overwatch.
Yeah, I did have an interesting conversation with a friend from the WoW days a couple months ago, and he has been playing hardcore Burning Crusades classic servers where if you die, your character is deleted.
Wow.
And he says it's fun, but yeah, as you start getting higher, it just gets to a point where you're just like,
I mean,
no.
I was in too many guilds that didn't know not to stand in the fire for that to work.
Right. I was like, man, I don't know that I could ever play a hardcore version of a game like WoW. Though I guess, technically I played Eve, so I kind of did.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Which reminds me, I need to look. Eve has a mobile game out now. I might have to download that onto my tablet. So,
don't know how you'll fit it in between BattleTech expansion, DLC, brotatoing, and everything else.
That's true. We'll figure it out. Maybe it's an offline game and I can play it in the car on the drive to TPF.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but that's all I got. That's what I've got in video games. TPF is coming up, and I'm super excited. Hopefully, you are feeling better enough that we don't have to change our plans.
Hopefully, I will test and find out. But I am going to go rest after this. So anyway, thank you everyone for listening to this truncated show. But Tony was very kind to spare my voice. So if you want to reach out to us, you can email us eclecticgamerspodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to facebook.com/eclecticgamerspodcast. You can support the show for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/eclectic_gamers.
We're available on Twitch and Instagram. Instagram.
Just cram those photos in. Cram them.
Instagram as eclectic_gamers, and Instagram is most active during TPF because that's what I do the most with it.
Yes, right.
So until next time, and unless of course we see you at TPF.
Yeah, if you see us around, say hi.
Yeah.
But my name is Dennis.
I'm Tony.
Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.